I can't feel my leg. It's so pins and needles. Holy shit. Fuck. Wake up! Oh my god. I have waited a very long time for this day to come where I can tell you this story. And you're sitting here like, who is this person talking to me? Let me give you a little bit of background info about myself so we can establish that emotional connection. It was in 2013 where I first began to question my sexuality. And it was several years of learning, understanding, and getting to know myself in a way I had never really gotten to know myself before. So for a few years, I thought I was a lesbian, and then the world trolled me and was like, jokes, you still like men. And I was like, fuck, why? And that is why sexuality is not a choice, my friends, because who would choose to be attracted to that kind of trash? And as you can see by my face, I am an Asian girl, and I grew up in an Asian family with somewhat traditional conservative Asian parents. Now, I say somewhat because over the years they've definitely become more progressive and more open-minded, but they definitely had the belief that anything that wasn't heteronormative was unnatural, weird, not the natural course of things. To those people watching this who are also part of the LGBT community, I'm sure you've had that moment where you're at home talking to your parents and you kind of slip in a, hey mom, hey dad, what would you do if I was gay? They'll probably be like, that is so wrong, that is so unnatural. And my parents weren't religious, but that's what they thought. And so you're always testing those waters because you're thinking, oh, one day if I have to come out to them, I wonder how they would react. So throughout the years, we had this talk like a few times here and there. But come 2017, when Australia had the postal survey to gauge the support of people towards the legalization of same-sex marriage, that was a time we'd like to very much erase from my memory, like really. During this period where the whole country was discussing same-sex marriage, I was hearing all sorts of things I didn't want to hear, and I felt so completely worthless at that time. On Facebook, I was seeing posts from my super homophobic relatives, and there were things being said from the people around me, like if we legalize same-sex marriage, and next thing, like men are going to be going to like girls' bathrooms, and then like pedophilia is going to be like legalized, and all this shit that was obviously completely irrelevant to the discussion. Yeah, it was just so emotionally exhausting. However, that tick they put on that survey was going to affect me, and it was going to affect me personally, and that made me really, really angry. So I had a lot of resentment in me at that time, and every time I saw them, every time I talked to them about it, I just wanted to cry because I felt so helpless. Like I didn't know what to do to make them realize that the person I was to them, I would still be that person, even if I wasn't straight, So the plan was always to just not tell them until there was a day maybe where I had a girl I really liked or something, and that I wanted to bring them home and show my parents, and then that's when I would tell them. But otherwise, I didn't have the emotional capacity, I thought, to deal with the reaction I was expecting. So I was more terrified of coming out to my dad than coming out to my mom. And one of the reasons why is because ever since I was really young, my dad has always really doted on me. And maybe it's because I'm the firstborn. And don't tell my siblings I said this. But I think he's always had a bit of a soft spot for me because among my siblings, I'm kind of like the only one in the family who doesn't really try to fight with him that much. The thing that scared me the most was that I had this weird faith that no matter what happened in the end, if I did end up with a girl, that he would accept me because his love for me would be stronger than anything else. And what scared me about coming out to him was the possibility that my faith in him could be wrong. And I just really wasn't ready for that kind of betrayal. Like, I didn't know how I would handle it, and it would make me just so sad if that happened. So come this year, we are in the middle of a global pandemic, and the days are starting to blur together. I'm having an existential crisis every day. And so I was having a particularly rough week, honestly. And then I find out that my mom has breast cancer. I can tell you, when I read the text from my dad, I was like, you know, in movies, how you see like a compilation of memories just like flash before you die. It was kind of like that, except I was like imagining all the moments that I would never have with my mom if she were to pass away one day. And that really scared me, because at that point in time, we still didn't really know how serious her condition was. And had I known what I know now, I probably wouldn't have been so scared, because you always jump to the worst conclusions. But I thought she was going to die. And then one of my first thoughts was, what if she goes? What if I lose her and I don't get to tell her this part of myself? What if I never get to tell her that I'm bisexual? That thought just really, really scared me, because I have heard stories from other LGBTQ plus people who have had that experience, and they've said how kind of terrible it feels to have someone you love go away without you getting to tell them something that you've been wanting to tell them for a long time. So one day when we were sitting down at the dinner table, you know, after we found out about my mom's breast cancer, and we were basically discussing the whole situation. My dad was there, my mom was there, my sister was there. My brother was kind of there, but unfortunately he wasn't actually at the table when I actually came out to them. And I was like, this is the time. Like, I'm just gonna say it. So I'm like looking at them both, and you know, I can feel my heart just, I'm kind of just like, here I go, I'm going to do it. And then I said to them, so I'm bisexual. And I was like, do you know what that means? And they both had this look, which was kind of like, we knew this was coming, but damn, it's here now, and we all have to confront it. And my mom was like, no. So I explained what being bisexual meant. The weirdest thing about that moment was how anticlimactic it felt. And I don't mean that in the way that I expected it to be super dramatic, full of drama, like a freaking movie scene where we all cry, all hug and whatnot. I had built up in my head that I was going to feel so much more than I did. But actually in that moment, I felt a little bit numb almost. I think it didn't really hit me what I had just told them. And so my mind kind of just went blank. Their responses, in a way, were what I expected. So they both said to me that they had a feeling, you know, because obviously over the years I'd said things like I didn't want to get married, I didn't want children, I hated men were trash, all this shit. My mom was like, honestly, we kind of knew, but we didn't really want to face it, especially since you hadn't told us or anything. The next thing she said was, did something happen to you? And she was asking me whether or not I'd been traumatized or abused in some way in the past that made me scared of men, which is weird because I just told her I was bisexual, so it's not that I'm not attracted to men. It's more that for the most part, I lean more towards women, but I'm attracted to all genders actually. And my dad was saying how he was like, ultimately, it's your decision.
But I want you to remember that marriage is a very important thing. And when you get with someone, that's for a lifetime.
And so his point was that if I married a girl, it would be forever and then I might come to regret it, and that this was all just a phase, but he was trying to word it in a roundabout way, I guess you would say. Weirdly enough, that was kind of the end of the discussion because they didn't really want to talk about it more. Nothing changed really drastically. They acted the same around me basically. And that was nice, but it was very cute because a few days later I came home and then I made my mom watch Queer Eye with me. And after that I was like, how much gay content can I shove in their faces before they get sick of it? It just felt so weird after that I wouldn't have to keep it a secret anymore. Just being able to like say things like, oh, that girl's really hot, or I saw this really cute girl today, and all of that without having to filter it in my head first just felt so good. This process is very different for a lot of people, and it's really up to you to decide whether or not you're ready to do that. And I don't think, everybody needs to come out, and not everybody can. So it's really about the circumstances surrounding you, whether it's safe to do so, whether or not you're mentally ready to handle it, whether you have the independence to provide for yourself if your family do disown you or kick you out of the house. Yeah, I just don't think there should be any pressure put on people to come out to their family and stuff and friends until they really are ready to do so. And even though the whole situation didn't quite play out as intensely as I had visualized it sometimes, it was still a very important moment for me because I felt very brave in that moment, and I was proud of myself for being able to tell them the way I felt. Anyway, this has been my first video, and I'm planning to make more videos on YouTube. So if it was really awkward, I'm really sorry. If you want to hear more stories and experiences that are unique to me, my experiences and my identities, then tune in every week. I haven't quite decided what day I'm posting, but I'll know by the time I finish editing this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!